This is our town, the place we call home.
Welcome to This Is Our Town with Jeff Yorkie, a local public affairs presentation on MonroeCountyRadio.com.
Welcome to another edition of This Is Our Town. I'm Michelle Pallid, in for Jeff Yorkie, and with me today is a really fascinating gentleman. He is a lifelong resident of Monroe County. He is fascinating in that he does so many different things. Welcome to the show, Mr. Bill Bacarella.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to be here.
I'm glad you said that. Cool. Okay, this will be easier now. So tell our audience a little bit about yourself in terms of how you see yourself here in Monroe County.
Well, like you said, I'm a lifelong resident. So I was born here way back in 1963, and I've been here my whole life. Grew up with my mom and dad and my brother, and I just love Monroe. I've tried to give. Monroe's been good to me, so I've tried to give back as much as I could, as much as I can still. My wife Amy and I, we have 3 children, and I love Monroe. So I've been a big part of Monroe. So I've tried to, as I said, I give back to the community as far as being on different boards and, different charitable organizations and things like that. And right now I'm the chairman of the board at Gabby's Ladder, and I'm also on the board of the Monroe Center for Health at the Aging.
So I have a little dossier on you, so to speak.
Yeah.
Stole it from your website, I have to say. Well, borrowed it. You graduated.
I embellished that, by the way. So
awesome. Yeah. It is truly an awesome dossier. You graduated from Monroe Catholic Central High School, and you attended Monroe County Community College, one of the priceless gems.
Right. It was $17 a credit hour when I went there, too. So, yeah.
Wow.
It's gone up a little bit, I think, since
then. Yeah, a couple bucks.
Yeah, a couple bucks. Yeah.
And you are a 1986 graduate of Wayne State University's Department of Mortuary Science.
Correct.
I can say mortuary. I've said it a lot in my life.
Yes. Well, yes, I went to Wayne State, and it's a great school to go to. I graduated there, as you said, in 1986, and I enjoyed it. Made some really good friends there around the state, some really good funeral director friends, and it's a great school, and I would recommend it to anyone who wanted to go. With us, for the mortuary students, we stayed. We had our own building. All the teachers came to us. We had our own labs there, so they put us way off campus because nobody wanted the undertakers around, So they put us off campus. It was the neighborhood was pretty bad at the time, but we didn't have any problems. So it was. I learned a lot up there. It's a really good experience.
And in case the audience hasn't connected, you own Bacarella Funeral Home on South Telegraph.
Yes. I started working at Earl Little Funeral Home in 1982. I was just looking for some work, and they were looking for somebody to help out around there, wash cars, cut grass, and so I took the job. I went in an interview, and I took the job, and then I got more interested in funeral business, and so I decided to go to school to get my degree in mortuary science. So I went to Wayne County Community College, got my associate's degree in science, and then I went on to Wayne State. And I got my license in 86, and then in 92, I was fortunate enough to be able to buy the funeral home, and then 2006 out on Telegraph Road. So it's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears over the years in that place. Yeah, I've seen a lot of things. My 37 years in funeral business.
The interesting thing on your dossier to me was you are a member of the Knights of Columbus,
yes,
and my dad was as well, and he was very faithful to go to all the meetings.
Well, unfortunately, I am a member of the Knights of Columbus, but I don't go to a lot of the meetings. I mean, the guys are great down there and everything, but I just don't have the time. I used to be a member of Monroe Club in Monroe here, and I just don't have the time to go to things because a lot of my time goes to the funeral home, it goes to my family. And so I just don't have the time and to do those types of things, to be really involved in those kind of committees, those kind of places.
Well, part of your job also, as the owner of Bacarella Funeral Home and as you call yourself an undertaker, is to share information with people. I mean, if someone's family member passes and they come in, you share a lot of information. But there is only 2 things that are guaranteed in life, taxes and this too shall pass. And that information that you share with the family, I have to tell you, we had an unexpected death in my family with my mom, and it was very interesting, the process. And afterwards, about a year afterwards, my dad said, you know what, let me take care of it now. That kind of thing.
Yeah. What happens is most people say, well, I've never dealt with this before. I've never dealt with a death before. And so, well, we understand that, and we're glad you haven't had to, but now it's happened, and now we're here to help. We're going to take you from step A to step B all the way through. We're going to get everything taken care of. You won't forget anything because I'm not going to let you forget anything. That doesn't happen. I'm going to ask you, when we sit down when someone's passed away, I'm going to ask a whole bunch of questions, vital statistics, obituary information, get all that taken care of. We're going to set up service times, visitation times. We're going to call the church for you. We're going to call the cemetery for you. We're going to get everything done for you. We're going to pick out casket. We're going to pick out vault or whatever type of merchandise you need with your funeral service. So we basically take care of everything. We'll do as much as you want or as little as you want. But on the other hand, if someone has already prearranged their funeral, it's so much easier because they're coming in where there's no stress. Okay, it's not a stressful situation. There's no emotions involved. They're just coming in. We're sitting down, and I do almost exactly the same thing. And then we discuss the prepayment of the funeral. And then when the person would pass away, it's so much easier because I already have all the information. You don't have to go sit through that information when you're emotional. You don't have to pick out a casket. You don't have to pick out a vault. You don't have to do any of that. So if you come into the funeral home after someone passes away, I've got almost everything done. You're going to be there maybe a half hour. We're going to set up some times, and we're going to have an obituary written for you, and it's much easier. So pre-planning is just is the way to go for sure. And we do a lot of prearranging, which is good.
We were very grateful that my father decided to do the prearrangement plan, and it was funny. He did it in 3 payments, and when he owned it, he goes, "It's mine,
right.
It's mine."
Oh yeah,
and none of you can change anything. Something like that, the prearrangement. What are some things people think about or ask you questions about when they are planning, pre-need?
Well, they ask me questions about, first of all, what if this, say that they don't make this casket anymore, and 10 years down the road, and I tell them you get a like-kind casket. That's what we do. The other thing is they say, what if you go out of business? Can I transfer my pre-need? Absolutely. That money's always yours. And if a funeral director, undertaker, whatever, tells you you can't transfer your pre-need, that's false. So you can transfer your pre-need anytime that you want to. So we just want to make sure that everybody is on the same page and they know all the ins and outs. Now, once you pay me for, say the funeral's $5,000, you pay me $5,000. In 10 years, that funeral's not going to be $5,000. However, we're going to take that $5,000, and by law, we have to invest it, okay? We have to give it a third-party fiduciary, whether it's insurance policy or for funerals or a trust company. So that money goes in that account, okay, and stays in that account until you pass away. At that time, that's going to grow with interest, okay? And so that's going to keep up with inflation, hopefully. Now, if it doesn't keep up with inflation, you don't owe me any more money because I guarantee you never pay me another nickel. And that's how that works. So when the economy went bad in 2008, 2009, 2010, that's the first time we had lost principal on these, and you're still doing the funerals. So those people that we had to do funerals for back then, it was interesting. Let's put it that way. So,
but it is very interesting because everyone has questions and what all that kind of thing.
Right.
And what we experienced with my dad was that everything he wanted was there.
Absolutely.
But the really fascinating thing was the undertaker said, okay, this is what your father paid. This is what it would cost today.
Sure. I mean, we have funerals that people paid, 20 years ago, and they paid $5,000 for a funeral, and now it's $9,000. They don't know. I mean, they don't owe me any more money at all, unless they make a change. Or now, like when I first, for years and years in Monroe, obituaries were free. Then they went to $25, and then they went to $50, and now they're $210. So they can get expensive. So we have to some of the cash advance items, we have to be very careful how much we prearrange and make sure that we don't get stuck with some of those. Because St. Joe's Cemetery, the opening and closing of St. Joe's Cemetery 6 years ago was $675, I believe. Now it's over $1,500. So that went up quite dramatically. So you have to be careful what you prearrange because you can get stuck with higher costs. So especially with cash advances.
Well,
you have
absolutely.
To be careful, right?
Looking at this dossier again.
Yes, yeah, oh boy,
the thing that really interested me, we're a member of the Michigan High School Athletic Association,
yes.
or MHSAA. Yes, I visit that website at least once a week.
I do too.
And during football and basketball, holy guacamole!
Oh yeah,
with playoffs.
Yep. No, I know.
Yeah, that's a great time.
Busy.
We're excited
Busy.
for the teams that are advancing forward, but it's all hands on deck. Probably for you as
absolutely.
well. Tell us what you do with high school sports.
Well, it's kind of funny. Years ago, like 20 years ago, something like that, a friend of mine had a church league, and they couldn't find referees. I said, "Well, I'll ref the games for you." So I went out and bought one of them striped shirts, and read a rule book, and I got my license. It's you just got to fill out a form and get your license. Pass the test. And I did referee. Now, as a church league, you figure it's going to be real simple. Those are the grouchiest bunch of guys I've ever seen in your life. I've never been yelled at so much in my life. And they'll tell you that too. Oh, it's crazy.
Ref.
Hey, ref, you're blind. You're the worst. You're the worst referee I've ever seen. I said, well, you're the worst basketball player. So we got something in common. So they've been having trouble getting high school officials. So I didn't do any varsity games this year because I'm just starting out, and so I did a lot of JV freshman games, some 8th grade games, and I love it. I get a lot of exercise. The kids are great to work with. The coaches. I never got yelled at once. It was fun. It was great. Nobody ever yelled at me.
No one said you were blind.
Nobody said I was blind. I wanted to walk out there with one of them sticks, but I didn't.
Or a dog.
Yeah, a dog. I have a
C9
C9 dog with him. But no, it was fun. There was, you get questions and stuff like that, and we all make mistakes. It's a hard thing because you got people yelling at you in the stands, and people yelling, that's a call you should do. You always get, like, in the stands, you get Mr. Helper. He wants to tell you, oh, you missed that. You did this. You did that. So,
well, we call it the cheap seat. So
well, exactly. So they don't know what they're doing, but they think they know how to tell you. They tell you what to do. So it's fun. But I enjoy it.
Well, we get that when our guys are doing play-by-play.
Sure. Oh, I'm
and,
sure.
And somebody just had a 3-pointer, and they're looking at the opposing team who they don't know anyone on, and they look at number 13, and they say the name of number 13, and someone switched jerseys. And
oh, sure.
We get that later. Like,
Sure.
What are you guys stupid? That kind of thing.
Well, the thing is, they have all kinds of different rules in basketball. You're supposed to have certain hand gestures and stuff like that. I get a lot of hand gestures now. I'm just kidding. But you have to, you got to know the rules, and you got to know, the movements you have to make for a foul, and you got to give the right number, and you got to, there's certain things you have to do, and that's just part of the rules, and you learn every time you referee. You miss something, you try and make that call up, study that call so you know what you're doing the next time.
Well, and you're human, and you're seeing it from...
Yeah, it's hard to do. It's hard because there's 2 eyes. You got 4 eyes. You got 2 referees out there. You got 4 eyes, and you got 10 players out there. And so you try and watch everything you can, but you're going to miss stuff, and you're going to make bad calls. But you know what? It's just part of the game, and that's what makes it interesting. So,
but why do you referee? I want to get into that because, I'll share. But why do you referee? Like the kids' games, I think that's so much fun.
Well, I love kids. Kids are wonderful. When you referee, I was president and past president of the school board at Catholic Central (SMCC), and kids just energize you. Just being around kids, they give you all kinds of energy, and they're wonderful to work with. All the kids are polite. I mean, when I ref these kids, they're all polite. They're nice. They try really hard, and I try and work with them during the game if they're doing this. Don't do that no more. I try and work with them, and kids are energizing. They give you all kinds of strength, and they're fun to be around. It's just one of the issues that they have with high school refereeing is the parents in the stands, and you'll hear that from everybody. But you just got to kind of tone things out. Just don't listen to everybody. So do what you can.
The neat thing we like is you can see that these students, these kids, are playing with their heart.
Oh, they play so hard. They're sweating. They're running as fast as they can. They're doing everything their coach is telling them. And you see these coaches and these kids, and they have great, great rapport with each other. The kids listen to the coach. The coach, he'll listen to the kids if the kids are hurt or something's going on, and it's fun to watch. The kids are wonderful. They really, really are, and they do, like you said, they play with their hearts out. They play as hard as they can.
Well, I know, we start out the school year, obviously, with football.
Right.
And then, you swing right into basketball. And I know our A team, they really like the football. And then they got to, because basketball is a whole lot faster.
Well, yeah, you got to be careful because if you referee basketball, then you do football, and you see a foul in a football field, you blow the whistle. You're not supposed to. You got to throw the flag and then figure it out later. And basketball, you got to blow the whistle right away. So you got to be careful of that. But I only do basketball. I like inside sports with its controlled temperature. Because football, you don't know if it's going to be 100 or it's going to be 30. And it's going to be snowing, it's going to be raining, it's going to be freezing rain. You don't need that. Baseball's the same way. Spring sports, I watch my girls play spring sports, and you don't know if it's going to be snowing or it's going to be 80. You just don't know. And so it's just, I've been out there when they're playing softball and it's 30 degrees and it's snowing. It's just not fun.
No, it's not. No,
just
it's
sitting there
not.
watching them.
One of the other cool things is you brought it up earlier. You're the board chair of Gabby's Ladder.
Correct, yes.
And Kaylani Ray Rafko.
Yes. Her and I went to school together. We graduated from high school together.
Well, I live on her street.
Yes, you do.
Lonnie
Yeah,
Avenue.
you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She came over one time, and she
Wonderful
said, "Now,
lady.
what's the name of your street?" I said, "You're messing with me, aren't you?"
Wonderful. Yeah, I love Kay. Very
she
sweet.
is fabulous, and she is tireless
Right.
on her love for the community,
Absolutely.
much like yours.
She gives a lot back to the community. She sure does. Yeah.
But the neat thing is you're on the board of the Monroe Center for Healthy Aging.
Yes.
That has got to be fascinating because we're talking about students and younger individuals, and then you have this whole group of older individuals, but they're not diametrically opposed in terms of thoughts or actions. You know, I know a lot of older individuals. My uncle was one of them. He was joking and kidding, and he was 70-something.
Sure. It's Gabby's Ladder is of course geared toward grieving and helping kids and even adults. We have Alzheimer's program. We have all kinds of programs. A lot of programs that people don't even know about at Gabby's. And of course, we don't charge anybody in the community for anything. We're all donation driven, and we get grants and different things like that. And right now, we're trying to build a new house, so we're working on all that. And so we try and help people. And Kaylani, like you said, is one of the most wonderful people I know, and I've known her for a long, long time. And then you go to the healthy aging, and I've just started on that board. I started in January, and the things that they do for the community and what they do for people is just amazing. It's just amazing. They have so many activities out there for the older people. They have, and you can join. I'm 56. I'm 56 years. Yeah, 30, 29.
30. Yeah.
But I could join out there, and I haven't joined yet, but I'm going to join. And, I mean, the meals are very, very good, and they're very inexpensive. And the people that run out there, that volunteer out there, are just wonderful. Our board is a great group of people, and I'm really happy to be part of that board, too, so I can help.
Well, it is National Volunteerism Month, and a gentleman from one of the associations came in and gave a little report to the commissioners and said that volunteers tallied 63,000 volunteer hours in 1 year.
Well, you wouldn't believe the number of meals that we serve out there, the number of people we help out there, the number of people that go to yoga classes out there, and they go to sing-alongs, and they always have functions going on, and it's great for the community. Of course, everybody thinks that we're part of Mabel Caris there, but we're not. We're a completely separate entity. We just rent that area from the people that own the building, and it's a very inexpensive rent, but we make the best of it, and those people can all come over, and you come over from the whole community, and it's really, really nice what they do. Like I said, I just got on in January, so I'm learning more and more about it, and it's very impressive out there too. So.
Well, the one neat thing, we've all had grandparents and all that thing. Yeah. My grandparents were always very young in terms of how they acted. When one of my grandparents passed, my grandmother passed, we all forgot that she went to Hawaii, and she had a picture next to a very young man, and he had his arm around her, and we said, Grandma, you still had it.
He's working it.
Isn't that fabulous, though?
That's great, yeah.
But no, it's not your typical, thought of what an older individual is. Right. They still are vital in their own way, and they want to contribute, and they want to be active.
Oh, absolutely. It's good for them to be active. It's good for them to keep their mind active and keep their body active and be around people. I mean, it's just, you see some people that just don't want to talk with other people. It's just got to be a lonely life. So if you get out there and you're with people, you're talking to people, you're active, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're going to different functions, it's just, it's good for your whole being. It really, really is. So, and it's good to laugh. I mean, that's good for the soul.
Oh, love to laugh.
Oh, me too.
Especially when you start crying because you've laughed so hard.
Well, at the funeral home, we deal with a lot of depressing issues. There's no doubt about that. And we have a wonderful staff there, and we make each other laugh, and that's how we get through the day sometimes, because we do cut up a lot just to make each other laugh.
Well, the first time I was at your funeral home, a friend of mine's father passed away. Truly fine gentleman, wonderful family. And I was taken aback, not that, I visit a lot of funeral homes, but just how warm, welcoming, and how everyone, do you need a drink of water? No, but they would ask you, are you okay?
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Well, that's what very important to me, that there's always somebody in the front door when you walk in. Somebody's there to tell you what to do, where to go, and what you need if you need anything. Okay, that's very important. You see staff around all the time. Nobody's supposed to be sitting in their office playing on their phones. That just doesn't happen because we have a great staff and they're wonderful. We have a beautiful funeral home. I think we have one of the nicest ones around. We have a lot of room. It's very well decorated. I have a lot of light. I like natural light coming into the funeral home. I just don't like it real dark. We have higher ceilings. I like the atmosphere in our funeral home. It's just because we are celebrating someone's life. We're not just mourning their death. Pressing enough to go to a funeral home, so we try and make it just look a little bit more inviting and more warm there. So.
And it was relaxing in a way.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's because you walk in, you have the library right there with the fireplaces going, and you can sit in there. And so people want me to serve wine, but we don't do that at the funeral home.
Well, maybe that'll change someday.
Maybe that'll change someday. Who knows? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have one more question for you.
Absolutely.
What is something about you, or a little story or something that people generally don't know?
Love to play golf. I don't know if people know that. You know what I do. I do enjoy being with my family. That's what I love, just spending time with my family. We have a little in Irish Hills, and we go out there and we spend some time, my wife and I, and we just really enjoy each other and the kids being out there. So I'm kind of a homebody. I don't go out at night. I don't do much. My business takes a lot of my time, and so when I go home, I just don't go out a lot. So.
Well, I can imagine. Well, I want to thank you for coming in and taking part in our
welcome.
show. You're one of our sponsors of our.
Absolutely.
This is our town.
Love
Thank
to be
you
a part
so
of Monroe.
much. And it is always good to see you.
Yes.
Mr. Bill Bacarella Funeral Home, but there's so much more than just that. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Join us every Sunday at noon and Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another edition of This Is Our Town with Jeff Yorkie, a local public affairs presentation of MonroeCountyRadio.com.
This is our town, the place we call home.